Hello everyone, my name is Amos Nimas and you already know who I am. I'm the guy who doesn't do editing in this video and that's why he doesn't get a lot of subscriber. But I got a new subscriber recently, so I gotta make more video. That's how it works. So this is my YouTube page. When I wanna go to YouTube, it asks me, are you sure what you're gonna do is productive? Then if I say proceed, it keep asking me, are you sure you don't have anything more productive that you could be doing? And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, there's really nothing more I could do today. And it's the same when I want to watch anime. So I got like, are you sure you want to watch anime? Are you really sure you want to watch anime? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay, so simple programming shit that's gonna impress you. Okay, I'm gonna impress you with what I'm doing right now. That's what I do. I'm the guy who does like hackery stuff like this. Ooh, look at this bunch of cool stuff on the terminal, and it's an actual terminal, by the way. Just so you know, it's an actual terminal that you're seeing right now. So let's just stop this if I can. Um, I can't. Okay, let's just close the whole terminal in that case. No C matrix today. We're gonna do some really cool stuff. Um, so I'm connected to my MySQL database, and you might ask yourself, how did I do that? Since I did not enter a password. Well, that's just an aliases. Use alias everywhere. That's probably the most powerful tool in Linux systems. Use aliases. They're amazing. I have aliases to connect to my Bluetooth speaker. I have aliases to connect to a bunch of stuff. Aliases are amazing. Okay, I can't say that enough. I can't stress that enough. Just use aliases everywhere. So if I say show databases, normally it's all supposed to be capitalized, but it still works even if it's not. So I don't care. I have like this TCG database, and if I go into my TCG database, which I can do using the command use and TCG database, baby. I'm in the database. Now if I do show tables, again it should be capitalized, but I don't give a damn. I have all my tables. So what is this for? TCG stands for Trading Card Game. And I'm trying to make an online multiplayer online trading card game the old way. You know, before we had tools to do that kind of shit. I'm doing this using PHP and HTML. I know HTML is not a programming language. I never said that it was. It's a markup language. But that's like JavaScript, CSS, HTML, PHP, and MySQL using a LAMP server. If you learn the basic of it, that's how stuff used to be made when people had time to waste. Now people, their time is too precious to do that kind of shit, but I'm still learning it. Why? Because I'm stupid and I like to do stuff from the terminal because the terminal is nice. Okay, okay, okay. Now, let's exit that. Let's do that. HTML, CDTCG, there you go, clear the screen, LS. We're in business, baby. That's the project. That's what I have so far. And how does it work? I think it's something like PHP. There you go. Now I have this line right here, which I can copy to my terminal and just add TCG to the end of it. And now I can open any of these PHP files. Because normally when you try to open a PHP file, it can be complicated if you don't give it like the actual path to the file. Otherwise, it's gonna try to download it. So instead of having to type each time Firefox and then the local host and shit, I just have this pphp which will print the comment to the screen. I can just reuse it all over and over again. It's still faster than typing it manually, which says a lot about my typing speed or my care in the world to type that shit every time. Okay, so now what do I have? What's working in there? Right now I'm working on the lobby aspect, which is this page. You can choose to challenge one of your friends. Right now I have only one friend. And if I challenge him, I can draw a card, and this does nothing because that's what I'm working on. And basically, everything goes into the database. That's how it's multiplayer. The database keeps the information and the site only displays it. That's all the process that goes into it. The website is basically just displaying the content of the database as per some rules and you know but yeah, that's what the website site. There's two sides to making a server and a website in a multiplayer game. There's the front end and the back end, and both work together. But once you understand that the back end is just storing data, and then the front end is just accessing and displaying that data, you realize that the front end doesn't have to be that complex, the back end doesn't have to be that complex. It's more about organizing your server. Okay, that's big information for you noobs out there. If you never heard of a server, if you don't know what that is, how that works, yeah, like these services, um, like like I said, MySQL, that's a services. You have like Apache, that's a service. These servers are running on your system and it turns your computer into a server. Server doesn't have to be connected to the whole World Wide Web. Actually, I suggest you don't do that kind of shit. Keep it local, baby. That's where you avoid all the viruses. If you don't want the people messing with your server, just don't put it on the web. The web is dangerous. Keep it dark. And darker than the dark web is on your local machine. Keep that in mind. You want stuff secure, so don't connect it to the rest of the world because there's somebody who's gonna find a way to mess things up. That's my advice of today. By the way, I'm not a programmer. That's not the job I do in my day-to-day life. I'm just very good at what I do. What I do in my day-to-day life, well, that's a mystery. But it has nothing to do with programming, that's for sure. Would I prefer being a programmer? That's a good question. Well, I like programming for fun. It's fun. It's an activity. It's a hobby. But when I do it day-to-day basis, it's not an activity that keeps you alive. You know, you're kind of dead when you're programming. You're just in front of your screen and shit. And I prefer being with people, interacting with humans. That's what being alive is all about. But does that mean you should not learn to code? No, because learning to code is the most powerful skills you can have. Look at how amazing all this is. Now, what I need to do when you start a challenge, a battle in the game, I want to load all the card in that person deck and put it inside of one of the table in the database. And then you can access content from that table when you draw. And what you do is you transfer the card that has been drawn randomly from the database and from the deck table into the hand table. So you see it's all stored into the database real time, which means that on the other side of the world, the other guy on his computer, it will display the, you know, the database as it is. So if the database is updated, it will update what he sees. That's the plan, at least. I have not finished it. It's not fully tested, but that's the theory behind what I'm doing. And you need to be smart to think about that kind of shit, because there's nobody that's gonna give you a tutorial that explains to you how to do this other than me. That's what I'm doing right now. That's why you should subscribe and leave a like to this video, because nobody else on YouTube is talking about that kind of shit the way I'm doing it. Maybe there's other people talking about server and shit, but they're boring. They're annoying. They scream loudly into their microphone. And they have a raspy voice. Please don't leave. So yeah, that's it for this video, folks. What TCG card game is this even gonna be? It's probably gonna be a mix between Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, Magic the Gathering, the most popular card game in the world, and the game that tried to imitate it, but failed. Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was great. I grew up watching this shit. I should probably put something on screen because people get distracted. You know, they need something happening live. So you have something to look at while I keep explaining what Yu-Gi-Oh was to me when I was a kid. It was the best shit ever. You know, best card game in the world. But then I stopped playing. Why? Because it's too small. They write too long effects, too complicated. Each card are too overly complicated. And on the other end, you have like Magic the Gathering. I have a card that has flying. Everybody knows what a card with flying does. That's amazing. But then Magic tried to become like Yu-Gi-Oh! And add more complex effect to their cards. Which they shouldn't. The game was perfect. They just try to sell you more crap. And that's the biggest problem with Magic. You always have to buy more crap. Which I hate. My whole goal with this is just to have a pure, simplified game that I can play with my friend to challenge them. That we can just like have similar decks and just the only factor determining the victory would be a mix between luck of what you draw in your deck, maybe which deck you choose, and even just strategy. Otherwise, it would be just strategy. Ideally, we would both have the same deck in each game. Like you choose deck, but you both gonna have the same card in your deck. That's what's called um, equilibrium. Okay, it's called balancing the game, making it fair. Okay, I don't like games which aren't fair. I'm a guy about skills. I play game that require skills. You know, I don't play games that rely too heavily on luck, and even less games that just require you to have better starting gear than the other player. And that's what Magic has become. And I also don't get me wrong, I love the basic concept of Yu-Gi-Oh! But the card effects, that's where it fails. I like the trap card. I like the instants. A lot of spell cards, I love them. I love the concept of putting your card in defense, sacrificing monster, but when it comes to reading the effect of each card, there's too many, first of all. Most of them are pointless, useless. Nobody's gonna use them in their deck. And I know that in the anime, that's like a running gag that the main character always has all these pointless, stupid, lazy card that don't do shit and still wins. But in real life, don't don't use these crappy cards. Just use good card that gives you a chance to win. I'm talking about strategy, I'm talking about card, I'm talking about TCG. If you like that kind of content, tell me in the comment. If you just want to know more detail about programming and stuff, want to see more code, I do a lot of code. I do a lot of bash programming. I have a lot of people from Russia that like my content about bash programming. They're probably the only people in the world who care about bash programming other than me. And I am in the world. You should know I am probably one of the best bash programmer in the entire world. Now that we have ChatGPT, other people can probably rival me, but I'm still the best. I'm still better than ChatGPT. I can still code more advanced bash script than ChatGPT can. So that's why I don't use it when I code in bash, because it cannot help me. I can help it. No kidding. When I code in bash and I ask for advice to ChatGPT, most of the time I can find a better solution, a better way to do things, because I've been doing it for long enough and I understand the language, and I fell in love with bash scripting. It's great. The only problem with these kind of programming language like Python, bash, is that they are not compilable. And that's why I love C. I made a game engine fully in C, and it's great. It has like all the basic feature of a 2D game engine. It's almost like Godot, but I made it myself. I was the only programmer to do that, and I used no basic library. What are basic library? No standard library. That's what I mean. None of it. I coded everything myself, and it works. How? Because I wasted time on that shit. Am I wasting time on this project? No, because I think it would be nice if I can complete it. If I can just like have the basics of it working, it would be such like it's really sad that it's not the kind of project I could share on GitHub with everybody on the world, because it's server side. Okay, you know, I cannot just publish the server on GitHub. That's not something that's possible. If you didn't know, why is it still always work like showing C matrix? Like, there's more program in this than C matrix. Ah, it looks good. Just look at all this. I should have done this earlier in the video, so that you would have had like each of these panel to look at instead of just one big panel. Some of these apps are real and are collecting like real data about my computer, so I hope none of it is like confidential and shit. But But that's the end of this video, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, be amazing, leave a comment below. I like receiving comments. It reminds me that I'm great. Have a good day. See you later for another video. Bye bye.